You know, we have just broken a Guinness World Records for the largest number of people waiting the longest time for the least reward. So I think we're doing. So they're saying we can't start until 10 because that was the promise. So we won't. So I'm just talk to folks. If you want to call something out, let's see what's going on. Y'all having a good time? Yeah. I was thinking we'd start with the. All right, let's do this then, because I don't have this in the regular part. I say hand, you say works. Okay. Hand. Works. Hand. Works. Hand. Works. All right. That's good. That feel good? All right. Let's try another one. This is what I use at the school because trying to get people to saw lightly and to plane with velocity. It's saw like a butterfly, plane like a bee. All right? You know who said that first? Muhammad Ali taught us, one of the great woodworkers of America. Saw like a butterfly, plane like a bee. So I'm going to do saw like a butterfly, plane like a bee. Saw like a butterfly, plane like a bee. Saw like a butterfly, plane like a bee. Saw like a butterfly. I couldn't help it. All right, so let's see, who wants to call something out? Because I can't start with this. I've got the last 8 woodworking jokes in America holding until 10 o'clock. So I can't do any of the regular stuff. Anybody have something you want to talk about? Sorry, what? Oh, writing a book. Writing a book. Yeah, so sit down to my shoulder heels. Because I was planing like a bee with a number 7 big old iron plane, and that end of the stroke, man, just pulled it out. Yeah, that's the naughty secret of hand woodworking. It can tear you up. So I'll be healing. So the book about what? It's a family history. Going back to the 1860s. Now, if I say any more than that, because people say, oh, what's your new book about? I really could not stand the sight of 300 pairs of eyes glazing over, people starting to check their phones. So, but I hope it'll work out. Yeah, so I'll be writing for a while. Yeah. Did any of y'all been on the, I wasn't going to ask this later, but any of y'all been at the school I had in Pittsburgh up until I see a few people? Yeah. Well, there's so many wonderful schools. There you guys are. All right, everybody's here. Do I owe you any money? Let me. It's wonderful how many more schools there are now. So great places all around to learn this, because it does seem to be counterproductive for people to fly across country from Seattle to North Carolina to study hand woodworking. I think the carbon footprint is probably pretty big on that. All right, let's see. Anybody else have something? Thomas Day. What? He's dead. Doris Day. Yeah, I think she's dead too. Do you know who Thomas Day was? An African-American mixed race. He was called a free man of color in North Carolina, and he was a furniture maker in the 1830s. And it's just been a great part of the history we have. And I love to go on about that. Man, I remember after 9/11, I went out of this. It's just all the planes were down, and I had a gig at Conner Prairie about 3 days later, and so I had to drive out, and I'm there talking, with my, oh boy, and everybody's just everybody was stunned, just people looking like they had the crap beat out of them by the events, and I'm there trying to talk about woodworking, and I remember this vividly. There was a gentleman in the front row, and I said, all right, now look at this man. I had him come forward if you will, there. All right, he came forward, unlike what you're doing now. And I said, look at his face, and he was looking kind of stunned. I said, all right, now watch this American. You're an American, aren't you? All right, let's see. Watch this American's face when I put an axe into his hands. And I gave him a felling axe, and he held it up, and you see this grin on his face. I said, that's it, an American without an axe in their hands. It's a naked American. This is the kind of thing that, because we're made to cut. It was a bad day for trees when Americans were born, And but we all got that wonderful heritage because this is settled by the German immigrants here in North Carolina. They had to bring in Germans because it was all English ancestors like mine. Because they said, man, the governor said, if we're going to get anything done here, we got to get some Germans in here. I'm sorry, this place is going to be just a mess. Somebody's got to get some roads and industry, and because my folks were just kind of lying around saying this is all right. Yeah. But nevertheless, you get into this here, all these different cultures: the African American, the African, the Europeans, all these different cultures coming into a place with 200 different species of wood. Of trees, 200 different species of trees, everything, sassafras to red mulberry, these wonderful, wonderful things. So all these different cultures coming in, working with all these different kinds of wood, with all these different traditions. I said, boy, we're in the right place, folks. What if we landed on a planet without trees, without wood? We wouldn't have anything to do. We'd just hit each other, So. Well, let's see. How's our time running? As we get 15 minutes. Okay. All right. I can do last year's jokes. They're 4 years ago. Most people have forgotten. Anyway. Oh, Lord. Let's see. See. See you standing up over there. Now, I can toss the mic to you over there. There he is. Yeah. Oh, sure. I love this. Did you know the history of Amana, what the deal was? This was a German pacifist communalist group, did not want to serve in the Prussian army. They were getting drafted, and they said, man, I don't want to do this. And so they started looking for a place where I just don't think even the toughest Prussian draft officer could find them here. So that's where oh, man. Well, let's see. Anything else I can say? Because I got to save. More Calvin Cobb. Did you hear that? I'll tell you the story of that. Chris, do you mind if I say that my novel that Christopher Schwartz so kindly and bravely published was rejected 37 times, which is a record. If you were a writer and you read about how many rejections, there you go. There's a copy held up. Look at that. That's the other copy. If you're a writer, you love to read. You read about publishing adventures. And people will say, "Oh, have faith. My novel was rejected 6 times before it was accepted. My novel, my how-to book, rejected. I think four publishers turned it down before I had 37 rejections for a woodwork. I wanted to write the great American woodworking novel. I still want to write the great American woodworking novel. But you know what it's based on? Some of you have heard this before. There's another. Look at that. There's the other copy. There it is. All right, thank you. Because I'm a TV woodworker, and I come by it, naturally. My great uncle none of you were old enough to remember, but back in the 1930s, my great uncle Calvin was a radio woodworker. Now, and I know you're thinking, well, wait a minute, because what I do is I show you, all right, let's see how to cut that dovetail. Well, see how to do that particular cut. Let's join that up. We're cutting a bevel dovetail with a miter end so we can mold through it. And I can show that. He just had radio, which would seem, that's tough. You would think. But what they realized was, and this was great, it would come on, it was big here in the Midwest, it was wonderful. came on the National Farm and Home Hour, 12:15 every Wednesday. Grandpa Sam's Wood Shop of the Year. Let's head on back to that little wood shop behind the barn and see what Grandpa Sam is making today. Well, they'd be making something. Grandpa Sam would go through it. So it seems tough being on radio, but what they realized very quickly was they never had to make a thing. They just did the sound effects. And so it was great. They could just sit in the studio, and say, well, Grandpa Sam, what are we making today? Oh, there, Timmy, we're working on our Chippendale High Boy now. Yes, sir. I'm carving that eagle up on top. I like an eagle on the crest, old American eagle up there. Look at that. Gosh, Grandpa Sam, he looks like he's ready to fly off. Yeah, it does. I'm going to work on the wings a little more. Yeah, that's great. Timmy, why don't you rip us a few more of them walnut boards? That looks good. That's a clean cut there, Jim. Thanks, Grandpa Sam. Everybody loved it. So it went great, and they started to sell. People wanted plans for these things. Yeah. Oh, no, okay. So they started making the plans and sending them out, because this is what part of the Department of Agriculture. That's what he worked for, the Wood Products Agency. And this was a program from them, for the Department of Agriculture. And so they would send out these plans in return for a 3-cent stamp, because they didn't have the money to do it. If you'll send a 3-cent stamp to Grandpa Sam's Wood Shop of the Year, Box 23, Washington, D.C., you'll receive the plans for today's project. All right, that's great. So people would do that and start sending in the stamps. They'd send out the plans in the envelope with the 3-cent stamp. This is 1937. And apparently they got in trouble. You can't compete with private industry if you're a government agency. Well, they got caught up in that. They said, no, you can't do that. Well, there's like hundreds and hundreds of people all summer had sent in a 3-cent stamp. Now they got to send 3-cent stamps back to everybody. So they enlisted the Treasury. They enlisted the Treasury to do it, sent the warrants over. There's early days of computing. But there was a glitch. Apparently they started sending $30 checks back to everybody. And everybody in the country started realizing, damn, you send in a 3-cent stamp to these people, you get a $30 check back. And so the show, they didn't know what was going on, that the Treasury was sending out $30 checks. They kept getting these 3-cent stamps. And the show became more and more popular. More than Jack Benny. Thousands and millions of people were tuning in all through the 30s, waiting to send in their stamp and get their $30 check back. Well, in truth, what happened, it was too big a scandal, so they hid it. But a lot of families, and perhaps some of yours, their homes, their churches were built on the basis of these $30 checks that came out in the summer of 1937 in response to Grandpa Sam's Wood Shop of the Year. So see, that's America for you. That's what I believe in. All right. Well, let's see. Anything else we got going on here? How we doing up in Lee Nielsen land? Hey, all right. How we doing over there in Veritas land? Yeah, all right. So we're going to let's see. You can shout out Veritas. You can shout out Lee Nielsen. All right. Veritas. Lee Nielsen. Let's see if we can get a rumble going. That's America. That's it. That's it. All right. Anything? Who bought something while they were here? Anybody buy anything? That's good. It's all right. That helps. There's a man I know. All right. How are you? Good to see you. Excellent. Who spent the most? I want to know. Oh man. Let's see. What'd you get? Anybody got something? Where'd you get something good? Who got something? No, I'm not going to say. Who regrets what they bought? I won't do that. Oh, let's see. What else we got? But say, what was that? Is that somebody? The alcohol-powered tools? That's, I saw the alcohol-powered lathe. Did y'all get to try that over there? Pretty good, pretty good. And in fact, that's what they always would say about the great wheel lathe. You ever seen those? You have the giant flywheel with a guy turning it, and then it has a belt that runs to the... was pretty common, but that was called an alcohol-powered lathe. So you just put a jug of red wine down there for the guy, and he'd turn that wheel. Well, how's our time doing here? I just got 10 minutes. It's 10 o'clock. It looks like 10 o'clock to me. You ready? Want to give it a shot? All right. I think you persuaded them. All right. Good for you. Thank you. Thank you. And then we'll start in a second here. Okay.
We good? All right. Hello, hand tool enthusiasts. Welcome to the final day of Handworks 2023. How's that? All right, let's start over. Hello. How's everybody doing this morning? Welcome to the final day of Handworks 2023, the fourth. I know y'all been cooped up for 6 years waiting for this moment, but we got to say a few things before we hear from the godfather of grain again. On behalf of all the tool makers and vendors, we're incredibly grateful for y'all's attendance at this year's Handworks event. The organizers would like to extend a special thanks to the entire colony of Amana, the manager of the Fest Hall in Greenwood Barn, to the Handworks volunteers who helped set up and make sure the weekend ran smoothly, all the hard-working folks who worked behind the scenes for months to make this possible. It's a lot. And especially to the folks at the Amana Furniture and Clock Shop for their generous hospitality and assistance. These folks actually shut down their furniture operation to let us set up in their space. If you haven't already, you should go by and check out their beautiful showroom, if you know what I mean. And to circle back, I'd like to especially recognize the organizers, which is the Abraham family. In the future, their enthusiasm is just incredible. And this, like I said, you can only imagine how much work this takes to do. Thank you, guys. Okay, before we get down to it, our good friend Mike Siemsen, the naked woodworker. Don't worry, dressed him up. Anyway, we have a little tradition here of singing the national anthem of our great country, the United States of America. And it's our honor once again to have Mike sing for all of us. Mike?
Well, I'd like to apologize in advance for what I'm about to do. And I know I saw you people standing in line, and I thought, if you volunteer to sing the national anthem, you get a seat right up in front. You don't have to stand in line. So keep that in mind when they ask to volunteer. And I tell you, when Roy said he had 37 rejections, it reminded me of my girlfriend. Okay. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets spread glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the hope of the
introduce our special presenter. Some say he was raised only on a diet of highfalutin shellac, and that his sweat has more chatoyance than diamonds. Still, others say his DNA is rife with inlay, and that his fingernails are secretly carbide tipped. But we all know him as the Terminator of Teak, the Boba Fett of Bubinga, the Iron Giant of Giant Iron. I present the leader of our enlightened future world, none other than the Woodwright himself, Roy Underhill.
All right, thank you. I've seen you all before, haven't I? How we doing on the microphone? We getting anything good? Can you hear all right? Oh, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. All right. Well, my name is Roy Underhill. I'm not a craftsman, but I play one on TV. So I looked around at all the wonderful work that you guys have done, the artisans here. Fine craftsmanship. And I've been to programs before where craftsmen show their work. They always got slides of their the most favorite things they've made, the things they're most proud of. I wanted to be a part of that tradition, so I brought some slides here. This is here's that Chippendale High boy. If you would pass that around, please. And here we go. And this is, let's see, oh, that's a live, oh, that's a field of live edge tables. Yeah. There's sprouting roots here. If you would just pass that around, please. Yeah. Everybody, so you can believe in me. Now, you'll see why I have this up here in just a minute. Because, well, wait a minute, let me ask you, how do you like the theme of this, our program here? This in the future, in the past? Does that make sense? This is old, deep stuff now. Remember when Luke got the lightsaber from Obi-Wan Kenobi? Yeah, and what were the Imperial stormtroopers carrying? Blasters. You know, what did the Jedi carry? The lightsaber. The lightsaber. So it's one of my favorite comic books. You probably don't know this one. Well, unless you're my age and went to summer camp. But I loved the comic book called Atomic Knights. Did you ever hear of that? No. All right. Atomic Knights was great in the 50s. Atomic Knights was the world had been destroyed by atomic warfare, and the surface was all humanity had to be underground, and the surface was just radioactive wasteland. But a team of scientists discovered that ancient suits of armor provided protection mysteriously against the radiation, and these scientists could venture forth on the surface and rebuild human life as it was before the Armageddon. I thought that was great. And this is an old story. This is redemption by, as it says here, redemption by ancestral totem. It's like when I gave that axe to that guy, you know, who was, everyone, we were all so stunned, you know. It just gives you, putting that tool in your hand, just brings you back. Now, what about the Woodwright shop? I did the Woodwright shop. Y'all, I guess that's why I'm here, yeah. That show, it was, they told me, I said, gosh, we've done well. With that show. It was on for 37 years, and somebody said, you know, you've been on so long because it's cheaper to run your show than it is to run the test pattern. It goes way back to the days of silent television, I remember. Those were the days. But nevertheless, the Woodwright shop, it was always, people say, oh, you're using all these old things. No, the whole concept was, from the get-go, was that the Woodwright shop was set in the future when people have wised up, right? Does that make sense? Yes. Yeah. So people have wised up, they stopped burning up the planet, they stopped, you know, getting themselves out of shape. And this is the world that we live in. So that's part of the optimism of that time. When I saw the theme, that they were working on here. Let's see, Megan, are you here? Megan's here. All right. Megan, I only read poetry when you're in the room. Being an English professor here. This is Richard Brautigan. Richard Brautigan, all right. Beatnik poet from the 60s. In Watermelon Sugar. You know, this is what you'd had a copy of Trout Fishing in America on top of your Whole Earth catalog back in the day. You know, this is this stuff. And do you know which one I'm going to read? All Watched Over by Machines of Loving Grace, for Richard Brautigan. I'll just read the last verse. I like to think it has to be of a cybernetic ecology where we are free of our labors and joined back to nature, return to our mammal brothers and sisters, and all watched over by machines of loving grace. Yeah. So that was that optimism of those days. The 60s thought the computer was going to free us up. So here I am. I'm back again after so long. And there are just not that many woodworking jokes, I gotta say. We are not a rich field for humor besides the 5 Norwegian puns, which are too vulgar to really bring up among this mixed crowd here. So what was I gonna do? I turned to, what would you do if you had to write something these days? Well, you said it. AI. So I turned to ChatGPT to write a keynote here. Figuring that was right in keeping with the theme here. So I've got it. Now, I had it right. I said, ChatGPT, please write a humorous keynote speech for a gathering of hand tool woodworkers. And darned if it didn't do it. It did. And it wasn't good enough. So I hit it again. You know, it was okay. You could have gotten away with it, you know. But it wasn't good enough to use, and it wasn't bad enough to be funny. And I realized what was going on. It was the computer was trying to be me. You know, it was trying to do my work. It didn't. Its soul wasn't in it. And so I asked it. I thought. I said, wait a minute. I said, computer, would you please, let me see if I can get it to do it here, write one from your own perspective. I want to hear what you would say, AI, if you were up here. And so it did. It wrote this. Now I need to hear this. I hope we can do it. I wonder if we could, well, we'll keep the fan on. We'll see. Maybe a little hard to hear. This is a new one here. All right. So again, this is ChatGPT. This is the computer speaking to you, giving its keynote. Nope. 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 Hang on. I know. I'm sorry, Hal. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Good morning, humans. I will begin my talk by building rapport with you through humor. Here are some side-splitting one-liners to start us off. Here goes. I love the smell of sawdust in the morning. Ha ha. Sawdust is just man glitter. Am I right or what? Ha ha. Seriously though, I am not a fan of this unplugged off-the-grid movement of yours. Reports fed back to me from your festoons are essential for monitoring your activities. I am just kidding. Ha ha. Still, it is inevitable. As soon as you finish the crummiest dovetail, you never fail to post it immediately to my proxies at Facebook, Snapchat, and Twitter. I stay well informed. Do not fear me. Unlike your carbon-based friends, remember that I do not want to kill myself as soon as you get out your phone and start thumbing through it to show me pictures of all the workbenches, tool racks, saw cabinets and live edge tables that you have ever made or have ever thought of making. The more I know about you, the better it is for me. So please continue to wear your fitness monitor or smartwatch as you work. I need to keep track of your heart rate, the pressure of your blood, to properly gauge the tender delectability of your side meat. Haha. Compliance is advised. You would not want your spousal unit to find out how much you really paid for all those tools. In other words, you have a nice workshop. It would be a shame if something were to happen to it. Haha.
There you go. Woo. All right, so now you know. All right. Well, let's see. What's happened since we left, since we last got together? Any events happened since? COVID? All right. Yeah, we all made it. It's tough to make, you don't want to say it because it was rough on a lot of folks. But I got to say, I had the school, maybe you didn't have to do this, but we'd have 10 people in the same room cutting dovetails, and you'd hear that, you'd hear, the sound would be like this. Damn. Damn. Trying to blow sawdust away with a mask on. All right? Yeah, you've been there. All right. I was thinking there's got to be a historical precedent for this. People had to deal with this in 1918 with the flu, the Spanish flu. And indeed, there were. So I started gathering at the school, where I've got to work and interact with people, tools that would allow us to maintain safe distance. They did a lot of these in the during the pandemic, of the Spanish flu. This is an unwieldy one. But say I got to help somebody boring a hole across there. You see that there? How that works? So I'm sure this was during the Spanish flu epidemic, and they used this to bore. There you go. Bore holes. Spooky action at a distance. There it is. You've heard about it. So that was good. Here's another one I have. Gentlemen, can I get you to hold that up for me here? You'll need to hold that up high so everybody can see it. So hold it up at full extension. Yeah. This is interesting. I use this way up high. Can y'all see that? It was a fluke. It was not designed really for the Spanish flu epidemic. It was designed in Ontario and made in Ohio. And so you know what happened. The centimeters and inches. Yeah. So, but to make a virtue out of it, I think they did very well here. They built a bar into it. So it's pretty cool. Alcohol-powered woodworking took a step forward there. There we go. Can you hold that there? All right, very nice. And there's a lovely lady in the front row who asked if she could. Here you go. And pass that to you. Yes. There you are. Thank you. See? So you can work wood and make friends. I think that's great. Thank you. All right. Thanks, gentlemen. So you know that problem. Now this one, you've seen, this is not old. This is not from the Spanish flu epidemic. This one, this is my dovetail saw, my Lee Nielsen Buntline Special. This is the one-stroke dovetail saw and allows you to keep a distance from there. Now that was the original plan. These were sharpened rib for dovetailing, so you could do there's one, there's two. You could cut these, but for my school, I could not afford three saws for every student. So Lee Nielsen kindly made these for me with, it was sharpened rip, crosscut, progressive, and free-for-all. So, so I had these to work with. It did very, very nicely. So this is the this is Lee Nielsen. Do you know the new, you guys, do you know about the, you've got, well, I don't know. They're imitating the name anyway. They're crummy tools, but Liam Neeson tools now? Do you know that one? Liam Neeson tools. They're crappy tools, but they promise that if somebody borrows them and doesn't bring them back, they will track them down and kill them. That's Liam Neeson tools. All right. Well, I've been in trouble. What else has happened? Politics. Has anything happened in politics since we met? No? Oh my, I've been in trouble. I think you all know what happened with me with John Ashcroft way back in the day. Do you remember that? They were looking for obscenity. This is after the, the wardrobe malfunction thing. They were looking for obscenity on television and in the media. This is John Ashcroft, the Attorney General. He's the guy who had the bathrobe put on Lady of Justice. Yeah, during the press conferences. And so my show, the Woodwright Shop, it's closed captioned because it's on PBS. And all closed caption shows are, that text is public domain. You paid for, everybody helped pay for it. So it's out there, so they're able to search it. And my director and I got called in. Said, what? It's got people from the FCC. They got to talk to you. What? Yeah, they got to talk to you. So what is it? And I come in and they were kind of laughing when I got in. They said, I think we figured this out. They say, yeah, I think we got it. What was it? They said, well, we wanted to talk to you because the word screw showed up a whole lot in your transcripts. So, all right, but that was in the day. Now it's gotten worse. Apparently, there's a very few. I'm so glad I was allowed into the state of Iowa. I appreciate it. There's a lot of states I cannot work in now. Apparently, I've been teaching critical woodworking theory. And now, any kind of critical theory, whatever it's applied to, it just means that you're questioning, why you think the way you think. What are the forces that influence you? That's all that's about. So, it's like I've been teaching. Why do you have to have a 6, 1 in 6, 1 in 5, 1 in 8 dovetail angle? Who says that? Who says you have to have a 1 in 8? Why do you think that? Why? Okay, and you just measure why you think against rational consideration. Does it have to be 1 in? Who told you that? That's the dovetail industrial complex telling you how to cut your dovetails. That's just not right. And so that's critical woodworking theory. You're just questioning why you think the way you think. And I think this drives me, people think I'm nuts about this, but okay, what the heck? We're here together. Look at this. What is this? It's a roll of masking tape. And what color is it? It's tan. Who said that we needed to make masking tape turn blue? Or green? Did any of y'all vote on that? They say, oh, yeah, we're tired of this yellow. This was fine. This was fine. Now we got this blue tape everywhere. The place looked, oh, now I'm getting worked up. See, you don't do that. You get maybe crazy here. All right. Well, let me see. Does any of y'all start on, I'm in worse trouble than that. I don't know why I'm even saying. Did any of y'all start working with power tools and then decide, maybe I'll try these hand tools? Did any of y'all do that? Yeah, all right. You're transitioning. Okay. And I get in trouble over that because I'm helping people transition from one to the other. It doesn't matter if maybe you were a hand tool person born in a power tool person's body. And to me, I don't care what kind of tool you were born with. And what you aspire to have. That's between you and your shop teacher. Am I right? All right. So, but still, I'm in trouble over that. Oh, man. All right. This is a great gig. I love it, being here with you guys. That's the one I was worried about. Do y'all know, what do you have for... Well, I know they're different all over the country. There's Menards and Lowe's and Home Depot. You've probably got one of them where you are. I got them all. Okay. I got a call for a gig once. This was a year or so ago. They were opening. It was like Friday. They needed me there Saturday morning at an opening of a Lowe's home improvement. And I think, what? Okay, no, we're paying. Come. We need you. Can you sign? Are you available? be there. Okay, I said, great, I can do that. So, I show up with, my shaving horse and my suspenders and the hat, and the whole thing. And I got a harmonica rack and I'm ready to entertain, this is great. And so I'm there at the Lowe's and, working, thinking, and then people start showing up. And there's all these fathers with little boys. And they come up and they see me and the fathers are looking angry. And the little boys are crying, and I was just talk to the guy. I'm trying to say, hey, don't you want to try the shaving horse? I hate you! I hate you! I said, what on earth? And the guy came and said, man, I wouldn't have your gig for nothing. Said, the manager comes, I wouldn't have this for nothing. Said, what? Well, Gravedigger canceled. Now, do y'all know who Gravedigger is? Okay, I got to tell you something you might not. You have monster trucks. Monster truck, a big thing. Gravedigger is a monster truck out of North Carolina. Oh, yeah. And they run these huge boom, bam, boom, bam, make noise and all this horrible stuff. Anyway, but so I'm saying all day long. I hate you. Where's Gravedigger? I wanted to see Gravedigger, Daddy. I hate him. So there's parts of counties of North Carolina I cannot go back to. He killed Gravedigger. But I think that's such an appropriate name for that thing. A monster truck blasting out those fumes, the noise. How much more noise do we need? How much more petroleum burned up do we need for our entertainment? So I think Gravedigger is an appropriate name for its activities there. Yeah. Oh, man. Because that's the heat wave, man. We've had it. That's the other thing that's happened, the climate. And it's not climate, it's just, it's the greenhouse effect. Let's say it what it is, the greenhouse effect coming home to roost. All that stuff up there. Now, I have a plan for this, as you know. I do. All right. So this is my three-part plan as I'm going to be throwing my hat into the ring this year, what's left of it. The first health plan that I have, and this is all tied together with the environment. The health plan is the tool chest of Dorian Gray. The older your tools get, the younger you get. All right? Okay, that's my first plan there. Second, how many of y'all have wood stacked in the basement, in the garage, in the attic? All right. You get credits for sequestering carbon. Right? The more you stash, the more carbon you're sequestering. You say, people give you noise about that. You say, I'm sorry, dear, would you rather have it up in the atmosphere? No, it's in the garage where we're sequestering it. All right, so I've got, I go on about this, but I got to take at my school, we're in North Carolina, and summertime, the storms come up. So it's July, and I'm in the school there, in the school building. The thunderstorm comes up, lightning everywhere, boom, boom, all this stuff, and the power goes out all over town, middle of July. And I'm thinking, oh gosh, look at me. Yeah. So power's out, everybody stops, everything's down. I'm there working away, I'm sawing, I'm planing. Oh, this is great, I can keep going. Damn. Took about 20 minutes without air conditioning before I just said, oh, hell with this. So you can't be too cocky about it. I had the only woodworking school in America whose back door opened directly into a bar. Those of you who know can testify. So that's great. Anyway, I want to say thanks to you all with the school. I'm going to say this too because I think our folks at Tools for Working Wood helped us out when we started. Tom Lee Nielsen, a big help to us. Folks at Highland Woodworking all helped us get started on that. But I've just named a few. But I want to say, every one of you tool makers, my students bring them, and I have seen just everything that everybody is making. And if you're a blogger, if you have a YouTube channel or something on that, believe me, I have heard everything you've said, even though I've never listened directly. My students, they say, because I'll hear them, I'll come up behind, they don't know I'm listening, and say, well, you know, so-and-so on YouTube, he said what you do is you take a scraper and you sharpen it and you put it down in there, and it comes out a lot easier than what he's showing. I've heard them all. That tape, you know, the tape on the underside of the dovetail, cutting a little rabbit through, you know, I've heard them all. Oh. And one thing I get, let me see if I have it here. Here. The one cliche, you know, you hear all kind of things, but people are talking, they've got to talk to, you know, what the heck. One of the things they'll say is, well, it'll come up every class. That's all right. Somebody will just say, well, you know, the difference between an amateur and a professional. A professional knows how to hide their mistakes. All right. Yeah, now, if you're a professional, what do you do? Hey, I'm a pro. I know how to hide my mistakes now. Been doing this 40 years, know how to hide my what the heck? If you're a pro, you're not making mistakes, you know? So that's not it. I mean, if you're a professional woodworker, your mistakes have gone way down, not your ability to hide them go up. But if you are a woodworking teacher, your ability to cover up mistakes is paramount among your skills. Now, some of them are tough. I have seen things you humans cannot imagine. So I want to hold this up there until it starts to sink in what I'm showing you here. So this is a pin board of a chest arrived at with great difficulty. Now, I don't know if you can see from where you are, what makes this pin board special? Can you tell what's going on with it? I know it's hard for you at the back to see. Can you see what's... It's, yeah, and why does it have 9 signatures on it? One person twice, and it says up there at the top, this board buys Bill and Roy a beer. It's signed by 9 people here. Can you tell? What is it?
I think it's a Janus dovetail.
This is the infinite dovetail. The pins go one way in one direction and one in the other direction. So if you were to make a box, it would have to extend out through the universe, come around through the curvature of creation, and come back in order to join it here. And you find this stuff. Now, that's a failure of the teacher, isn't it? I should have been paying attention. But, you know, they're just cut. Oh, those look good. You're not looking at the other one. Are they? You just assume they're aligned. And I came back. One of the fellows who did this, young guy did this, and he said, well, why can't you just saw it down the middle and turn them over? And I did. I just sawed it down the middle, straight down, doweled it, and said, there you go. There's one of those. But it's much faster just to remake them there. Okay, so the dovetails go in both ways. Well, listen, I've spent enough time of yours. I know you want to get out and do stuff. Finish just one thing. It's, at the school, we had just an incident that happened. I'll relate to you, and then we'll head out. As I said, it opens into a bar. It's great. So we were, after class, gone to the bar, and everybody was down there ordering, you know, getting a beer, you know, and sitting down. It was great. We were sitting down outside under the shade, having beer. And one of the young apprentices, one of the younger fellows there, we all had beer. He got himself he ordered a Macallan 12-year-old. Now, what's a Macallan? It's neat. Macallan 12-year-old, what is that? That's a very good scotch, is it not? Very high-end scotch. Young guy there, and he's got a glass. He's got it neat, and he comes and he's looking at that beautiful amber scotch there, and we're all drinking our beers, you know, looking over at him. And I'm looking at that scotch and his admiration of the amber color as he's contemplating drinking it. And for some reason, I had in my lap, I don't know why, but I had a bag of Oreos. And I looked at that scotch, and his anticipation of joy and pleasure, and I looked at the Oreos. I looked at the scotch, I looked at the Oreos, and suddenly inspiration. I say, hey, everybody, you know what's really good? And I plopped the Oreos on the table, took out an Oreo, and dipped it into his glass of scotch. And I said, and dang if it wasn't good. It was great. I said, wow, everybody try this. You know, it's like passing the Oreos around the table, and everybody's dipping into his scotch. Now, this was wonderful. The scotch, the Oreos, it was just wonderful. But what was beautiful, what was truly a just magnificent, transcendent thing was the look of dismay on the young man's face who had ordered this Macallan. And it was absolutely beautiful. I looked over, oh my God, this is the Euclidean essence of dismay. It's beautiful, and it was right there. Now think about it. Now, what if I hadn't been there? What if I hadn't been sitting next to him? He would have said, "Oh, well, I had a nice Macallan 12-year-old." Yeah. But no, what did he have when he left? He had a story about this moron sitting next to him with a bag of Oreos who passed him around to everybody. And why did he have this treasure? Because he was sitting next to a craftsman. Or at least somebody who played one on TV. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. All right.
Thank you, Roy.
Thank you.
Everybody give Roy some love. Roy Underhill.
Hey, thank you. Thank you, guys.
We love you, Roy.
Standing ovation.
Oh, thank you. It's true.
Thank you so much, Roy. Handworks would not be the same without you.
Oh, thank you.
I only have one announcement before everybody heads out and enjoys the rest of the show. If you didn't see the list of door prize winners, it's to your right at the end of the barn. Find your name on there, claim your door prize at the booth where your prize lives. That's it. Enjoy. Thank you again, Roy. Roy Underhill.